Hello from gardening at Douentza here in Ireland. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant up a winter planter with some pretty little things that are going to look good in my greenhouse for the whole of the winter. So let's have a look, let's see what's on offer, and let's make some decisions about this. Hello, and you're very welcome to my greenhouse, which has just recently been bubble wrapped. That's what all that white stuff around there is, and it's for winter insulation. And if you have any questions about that, at the end of this video I'm going to link to the video I made last year where I actually put the bubble wrap up, so check that out. Okay, but today what we're going to do is we're going to plant up this cute little planter that I managed to pick up, and we're just going to plant it up with pretty things that are going to look good on my greenhouse staging. This is my greenhouse staging, and by a very happy coincidence, this planter here just fits very well on this shelf here. You'll see anyway after I plant it up and we put it in position. And one of the important things that I'm going to put into my planter is these beautiful violas, and I've always had a little love for violas, but haven't grown them nearly enough. I just think they're such gorgeous little plants, and they're like pansies, but the flowers are so much smaller and so much daintier, and they pump out a whole load of colour. Now these certainly in a greenhouse, in a cold greenhouse even, will keep on working all through the winter and give amazing colour. So I'm definitely going to use these. Now, why did I choose this particular colour? And we're just going to see now when I picked them up in the shop the decisions I had to make and the different colours that were available. So my inspiration to do one of these planters really came from this arrangement here, which I think just looks so good, and I managed to get myself one of those pots as well. So this is the one I have, and this is the shape, and I think it's going to look really good. But one thing I need to bear in mind is that this pot here is blue and mine is a kind of browny silver, so I need to choose violas that will complement the colours of my pot. And at this time of year in many garden centres you have a lot of pansies and violas for sale, lots and lots of different colours. And I just decided I was going to use some of them to plant up a planter. And look at these absolutely gorgeous little faces. Aren't they just adorable? Anyway, we're going to use these in our planter. And what we're also going to use is this plant here behind. And this is a trailing plant called Dichondra argentea. And it has these silver leaves that kind of cascade down. And it's very attractive and is going to look really cool, kind of cascading over the edge of the planter. So we will have a go at that. Now, just a little word, and it's to do with compost. This is kind of a semi-succulent plant, so it really needs quite good drainage, whereas the violas, on the other hand, need lots of moisture. So we're going to try and put these two things in the same container by using some perlite around the Dichondra. I'm not sure it's going to work, but we're going to give it a try. Right, so we've sorted out two of the things that are going to go into this planter, but we really need something big in the middle, like you saw in the little clip I put in there, like was demonstrated in the garden centre when I picked up this planter. And I was kind of thinking what to do. Now they used a grass there, and the grass is very good, it's architectural, it's not flowery, but it's architectural. But I don't have a grass to put in there. And when I bought it, I kind of thought maybe I'd put some paper white bulbs in the middle, you know, daffodil bulbs. But, you know, I don't want to put bulbs in. I want to make this a planter that looks good for the whole of the winter, not something that is going to peak when the bulbs are in flower and then kind of go downhill from there. So I am going to have a quick look and see what I have here in the greenhouse that might be useful for this planter. And yeah, here we go. I thought I really must have something here in the greenhouse that I could put in such a planter that would look great all all winter long. And there are a lot of very architectural plants here on the greenhouse staging, but many of them are succulents. Now this could look amazing in the middle of the planter, but it's not a good companion plant for the pansies, the violas, that need quite a lot of moisture. This is something that's going to have to be kept bone dry through the winter. So that's not going to work, and mostly these things aren't going to work. But let's look down here. And down here I have some ferns. That one there, and a couple of ferns that I bought at the bloom show earlier on this year. And I think some of these would be an excellent candidate for the middle of my pot. So let's just take these out and put them up on the table, and let's see where we go from there. Over we go. Right, now, so these are tender ferns, and they're ones that need moisture. Okay, so they'll go well with the violas, but not with the Dichondra, but that's okay because we're going to deal with the Dichondra separately. But I think we could do something very nice here. Now this first fern is a Pteris, and it's actually one that does well at lower temperatures. If kept dry, it really could nearly do outdoors in winter, but it's a really pretty fern. Come in and have a look at the leaves here. Look at that. Really gorgeous. And I think it looks quite well in the middle of the planter. The colours are good with the colour of the planter, but it's not really big enough maybe. Maybe I want something a bit bigger. So let's have a look at what else we have. And this one here is a Doodia. Whoops. And this one would also look good, and it's a good size. It's got kind of reddy bits on the leaves there, and red stems. It needs a bit of a tidy up in terms of taking off some of the deader stuff, but that is definitely a candidate. Look at that in the pot. That could be really good. But the way my mind is kind of working at the moment is in relation to this one here, which is an Asplenium, I think, but a tender Asplenium, and it's got these gorgeous black stems. Look at that. And this very delicate foliage. Now you'll see, if I can manage it, there'll be a poll up in the corner of this video, and I would like you to vote for which fern you think I should put in the center of the container here, which one would look best. And while you're making your choice in terms of which fern to use in the center of this planter, let's talk about the compost I'm going to use. Right, so down here we have compost, and this is just, well, it's just multi-purpose compost. I've just actually put it in this trug on top of a dryer mix, which I've been using to repot some succulents as we've gone through. But never mind, we'll just use the stuff on top. And we have trusty perlite here for using around the Dichondra, just to keep it that bit dry, and we'll see how that goes. So I guess the first thing we're going to do is have a look at the bottom of the pot here, and you can see it's got drainage holes, which is excellent. That means this isn't really something we could use in the house, because look at this, a planter this strange shape with drainage holes. How on earth could you find a saucer to go underneath it? You'd end up just wrecking your surfaces. So it's just perfect for a greenhouse situation. Okay, so we're going to put a bit of compost just at the bottom of the planter, just ordinary multi-purpose compost like that. And now we're going to decide what to put in. Okay, after much deliberation and absolutely no attention paid to the poll that you just filled in, the fern I decided to go with was the Pteris. And yeah, I just think it's gorgeous. I love the bright colour on it, and I think that's just going to really liven up the whole planter. So what we're going to do is, and this is going to get messy, we just take it out of its little planter here, and thankfully we have a nice root system here. But what I'm going to do now is just tidy it up a little bit, and that means cutting off just any leaves that have just perished a little bit. And this happens, you know, there is attrition, even, I mean, yeah, there's attrition of leaves the whole time, so hopefully this one will do well. Okay, so we will just take the label off for a moment. I am going to place it in the planter this way. So this is its good side. You see how the leaves kind of cascade over the front, and I think that's going to look really, really cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some of the Dichondra around it, and the Dichondra I want to split into two pieces. So I'm just going to put it down here over my compost, and let's see if I can divide this without murdering it completely. Right. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of break this with my hands and kind of pull it apart. Whoopsie. Okay, we're still going now. I just discovered there's a bit that needs to go over to the right hand side, so we'll untangle that. We'll try to. Come on. You know you want to. Pulling off a few leaves here, but never mind. Now, there. Now a bread knife would actually be a handy thing to deal with separating this. Come on, come on. Alright, okay, so you see where we're going to go down the middle. We're going to go down the middle there. We're going to try and go down the middle there anyway by breaking it. Okay, we have two pieces now. There we go, two distinct pieces. But what we're going to do is get rid of some of this kind of root underneath, because there's too much to fit in the container. And I'm sure this root I'm taking off this plant probably belonged to the piece off the other side, so it's probably broken already, etc., etc. Okay, so that's the first bit. There we go. Okay, so we are actually going to take this and put it in here. Now I'm just going to excavate a little hole down here so it reaches down to the bottom, and just kind of drape it over the edge there. Wow, made a terrible mess. Okay, that's you, that's my fern, and now, and that's a little bit of neatening up there. And then we need the other one over the other side. So with the other one, again, just going to take up off soil, so we need to have enough space for the violas to be able to get in there as well. So there we go. Now this is done extremely well in just ordinary compost. There's nothing well drained about that. However, if it's going to be kept over winter at 5 degrees, it needs to be drier than that. So we will put some perlite around it. Okay, right, over we come, and we're gonna put you in here and drape you over the side. And actually, maybe I'll put the drapey ones, the Dichondra, at the very edge like that. The next step now is to have a go with the violas. And let's have a look at the violas, because there's actually a difference in colour. Can you see there are some are really quite purpley and there are others that aren't? And I really do prefer this colour here, and these tend to be these three plants on this side, so these are the ones that are going to have prominence in my display. So let's just pop one of them out. Okay, out we go. Nice roots. And we're going to take this and we are going to put it, that's going to be in here. Oh, it's gorgeous. And now we're going to work with the second pot here. Take it out. It's less bushy than the first, but hopefully it'll come on, and just shunt it in here. And the trick with planters like this is that, you know, you jam as many plants in as you possibly can, and hopefully it does well. Now I think I'm going to raise the fern up a bit here. I'm going to put another one in there. I'm going to put the third one in the middle here. So this is the other one that has the really pretty colour. And I'm going to put it in front of the fern, I think. Now if this fern is raised up, I think that could look really quite nice. And what I'll do now is just put a couple of handfuls of compost underneath the fern, because it's definitely kind of, the root ball isn't as big as that of the Dichondra, so if we want them all to be on the same level, we need to raise it up. So that's that raised up. And what's happening with my violas, we need to get some compost around there. Let's just have a look. Is that my best side? Maybe I will turn you to the side rather than the front, or maybe like that. Now we're going to put some compost around the plants. Put some in there. Some in there. Now here I've taken the kind of the compost that's heavy in perlite from the bottom of the trug, and that's the one I'm going to put in here around the Dichondra, just to make sure it gets better drainage than the fern and the violas. And the same thing on the other side, where we're just, if we can see at the very front there's some holes, and this viola has actually dropped a little bit lower than the other one, so I'm just going to, with my fingers, hoosh it up a bit and shunt some compost in underneath it. So that's down the side and then in here underneath, and that should suit him a bit better now, a bit more at the front. And now we're going to just give it a good watering in. All around. And wait for that to drain down. What you want to make sure of is that there are no pockets of air in here, because that's not good for roots. If our roots hit a pocket of air, they don't know what to do, and they certainly can't go any further. So, okay, so that's coming through. Now just a little something I'm going to do here is, you see how the fern is a bit, I mean, it would be nicer if it was standing up a bit better like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little stick here and put it at the back, like that, and then just take a little bit of string, which I hope will be carefully and cunningly hidden, and just tie up those ferns. There. Okay, Okay, so I think this is it, and we're going to lift this now, which is quite heavy, which is good. It's a good sign. Over here to the staging, where I'm going to put it here. And I think it looks well there, but we do need to take some of these plants out and readjust them because they're kind of interfering. Now, it'll take a while to settle down and to start to look good. And as it does that, you know, you can adjust the stake or the strings and remove just like the spent flowers. Okay, so this is my winter fern planter, which I hope you enjoyed watching me pot up. Maybe you'll pot up lots of different things in your greenhouse, outside and in your house. And yeah, very good. All right, thanks very much for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, I encourage you to do so and check back again for lots more gardening stuff. Bye.